Look, most births are pretty straightforward, especially at home where I primarily practice. But I'm going to tell you about two of the wildest births that happened within a 24-hour window. My name is Jamie. If you're new here, I'm a midwife. I've been attending births for over a decade. Currently, I live in Greece, and it is the hottest time of the day, so today I am reflecting on some of the more wilder births I have attended. So, this story is from when I was a student midwife. And there's this thing that people say when you're a student midwife, you're going to see some of the craziest births because that is what's going to give you the confidence to go out into the real world and practice on your own. And these are definitely no exception. So a little backstory on this family of this first birth I'm about to tell you about. The mom had had 3 previous home births, uneventful, unremarkable is what we would call that if there was nothing worth noting. And her and her husband had come from a different state to the state that I lived in because home birth or out-of-hospital births were considered illegal. So they bought a camper and moved temporarily to the state that I lived in. So the day she goes into labor, mind you, they're still living in the camper. It was a beautiful summer night. A storm had just come. It was in the foothills of the mountains. It was magical. It was really magical. They had set up this beautiful tent gazebo situation with twinkle lights everywhere, and we're using a horse trough for a water birth. And this mom had been laboring really intensely for a couple hours. And after some time, the midwife thought, let's see where things are. I would kind of expect with her history that she would be pushing by now, so let's see what's going on. So she does a vaginal exam and finds out that she's only 6 centimeters dilated. But the baby was a little bit off-centered, so we suggest some positions, have her lay down, and about an hour later, her water breaks. Great, fantastic. Except for that, there's a bunch of meconium. Now, meconium alone is not usually an indicator for a transfer, but it depends on what's going on with the whole picture. So naturally, we listened to the baby's heart rate as soon as the water broke, and the baby was showing some signs of distress. They were not tolerating the situation well. So given that this mom had had some babies, we're like, all right, let's just see if we can just push up this baby. So we get her into a squatting position and encourage her to push. And nothing happens. Actually, when she's pushing, the cervix starts to swell up. So we're like, all right, we need to change plans, right? Okay, so the baby is stressed out and birth is not imminent. We should go to the hospital. So the midwife goes with the parents in their van, and I pack up quickly the birth supplies, throw it in my car, and then leave shortly after. So drive to the hospital, which I had never been to, so it was a new hospital for me. Sometimes it just depends on the hospital, if it's the ER or straight to labor and delivery, depending on the time of day, whatnot. So I try to call the other midwife, and I don't hear anything. And I assume that they probably have gone in. So I'm looking around for the entrance, and I hear yelling, at which point I realize they are still not inside the hospital, and I find them in the parking lot. When I find them, the mom is hovering above a wheelchair, actively pushing, right? And the mom says, if I can just push the baby out, do I have to go in the hospital? Obviously, she did not want to go in the hospital. And the midwife says, yeah, of course. We have to get the baby out. So if you are capable of getting the baby out, go ahead and push the baby out. So this mom pushes with all of her strength and above this wheelchair. At some point, yeah, okay. She's above the wheelchair. She's pushing, squatting. I don't actually have an order for her right now. It was a while ago. But okay, so then at some point, the baby's head is born and the shoulders are stuck, and the midwife realizes there is a cord around the neck. So she loosens the cord. Sometimes that's just kind of what will cause some issues. So she loosens the cord, gets the cord up. No, baby's still stuck. So we realize that we are experiencing a shoulder dystocia. So we switch positions with the mom. I think at this point is what she gets when she gets in the van. And probably hands and knees, do some maneuvers, get the baby out. Naturally, this baby, who was a little bit shocked, needed some help coming around, right? It was a wild ride for all of us. So I think at this point, the midwife starts doing some mouth-to-mouth, some resuscitation to get the baby crying and responding. And during all of this, it is a literal shit show. There is mom's shit. There is baby's meconium-stained fluid everywhere. There is amniotic fluid. There is blood. Just so many body fluids everywhere in this large 15-passenger van, just everywhere. Now the mom starts hemorrhaging because often with an exciting birth, it's not uncommon to experience a little more bleeding than usual. But of course, because I grabbed all the supplies, everything to deal with that is in my car. So I run over really quickly, get everything to manage that, come back, get the bleeding to stop, and everybody's fine. In this moment of just like relief, everybody is so relieved. All right, baby's doing well, mom's doing fine. Cool. Out comes the charge nurse looking for a dad who had come in 10 minutes prior asking for a wheelchair for his wife, and he was confused why nobody had walked in since then. So he sees what's going on and is starting to put together why the dad has not made it back into the hospital. And he asks, like, do you want a stretcher or do you want something to take everybody inside? And they kind of look at the head nurse and they're like, well, do we have to go inside? He says, well, no, whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want. And I said, well, then we're just going to go back and carry on. This gem of a charge nurse goes back inside, grabs some warm blankets, gives us some blankets to clean off, takes the wheelchair, and says congratulations. And we returned back to the original planned birth location to do the newborn exam, clean up, and routine postpartum care. So that was crazy birth number 1. If you're interested in hearing about the second craziest birth that happened, again, within 24 hours of this birth, then follow along. I will be posting it soon.